What's up guys, Celestial here again, bringing you another guide. This time it's for the Nightmare Survival Challenge in the Gold Saucer. This is another thing you need to do in order to get the certain items for the 7-star hotel for Johnny. But this is a lot harder than the Shadowblood Queen. My god, like my deck build that I did for that, if you haven't checked it out, it does work for the two before this, the other survival modes, but it doesn't work for this. I have a specific deck build for this and I'll show you guys right now. So this is the deck build I used for this. This is a lot more RNG than the fight with the Shadowblood Queen, but I will detail the cards that you need down below. This is just to show you what they look like, and I will explain how all the cards work together in order to win this. So basically, the ones you want are similar to my Shadowblood Queen video. Like I said, if you haven't seen that deck build, go check it out. It's in one of my previous videos. You're using Rictus, the Chimera, and the Shadowblood Queen, which you actually got from her battle, to do basically the same thing as what you did in that battle, but just power them up every time they get debuffed. So I'll show you guys how this works, because this actually requires a bit more explanation than the previous one. So this is what a perfect hand looks like for the very start of this challenge. If you guys don't know the rules for this challenge, it's basically you can only draw cards up until round 4. So if you get to round 4 and you have no cards in your hand, you're basically screwed out of this. I always wanted to make sure I had Dio and Odin in my starting hand. The rest of them don't really matter because you always get the Gigantors, which allow you to play the three-star cards. And basically, you want to put Dio in the same lane as this Trooper guy, because he gets buffed every time a card gets enhanced, similar to that card. So you'll basically win that lane. You don't need to win all of these lanes, but I tried to make sure I won as many as possible because you get an extra card each time you win one of these lanes. So basically, the way it works is the first 3 rounds will have these chests, and then the 4th and 5th rounds will rely on you having your cards already prepared. So you'll just have to do those rounds with the cards that you have in hand. So by the time you get to the 5th round, you want to make sure that you have Rictus, which is a little pumpkin head, Chimera, and the Shadowblood Queen in your hand, because they're going to win you that round. By a lot, usually. Like I said, in this very starting round, you don't need to win the round. I just basically made sure I had at least enough points to kind of win over the round and get these extra cards. But these are also RNG. So you get a random Cactor card and a random... It's either Chadley or Mai for the middle one. Which is why it makes this so hard, because it's very RNG based, where the Shadowblood Queen was literally just one round. And you just had to win her over, and we just powered through that with the deck build that I had in that. At this point, you can start passing, because you've got all the ones that you've got, and they're not really going to overtake you here. So you will get all 3 of these cards from the middle lane, so I'll show you how it works. So I pass here, I get a decent amount of points, because I won the lanes, and then I get a Gigantor card, I get 2 Mai cards, and then the last card will be another Cactor. So you get Koitor. They're actually quite good, but like I said, it's random, so you might not get the cards that I get, so I can't really explain how to use them. So this is the second round, so you draw more cards, so you've got a huge hand of cards here. As you can see, I drew the Shadowblood Queen. You need to make sure she stays in your hand if she's here at this point. If you have Odin, like I said, that hand at the start of this video is the perfect hand. Odin goes in the bottom left hand corner, and you've basically won this entire lane, because they can only put 1 card there. You probably aren't going to win the top lane, unless you have some crazy play that you can make, but just make sure they don't win by too much, and you should be fine. So I'll jump ahead to the next part, because you only really want to win the bottom row, and maybe win the middle row. So like I said, your cards are going to be completely different, so I'll show you how my board ends here, and you guys can kind of work out from there, okay? Okay, so we're still in the second round here, but I thought I'd show you guys something. So this card that they can play at the top, the Jockey card, that can give them another +10 if they win that lane. So what I did, since I had the Mai card, I deleted that card, because she gets powered up here, so she's able to delete that card with the damage. I do that just so they don't get 20 there. So like I said, you don't need to win all 3 lanes, but just try not to lose by an incredible amount, because you want to make sure you have a little bit more points than them by the end of round 4, and then in round 5 you should get enough points to clear it. You don't need to get 100 points, because that's like the 3-star version. You just need to beat the 5th round. So yeah, this is basically how the board ends up, and then I just win the bottom lane, and I don't really care about the other 2 ones, because I can't win them over, because they're just too powerful at this point. So we pass, and we're on to round 3. So we won the bottom lane, so we will get that card from there. They also got a Cactuar card, unfortunately. But there's no point in wasting your cards when you're trying to save as many as possible. You just want to make sure you get at least 1 or 2 of the lanes and keep the cards that you keep. Because, like I said, it's random. So we've got another huge hand. This is the last chance to draw cards. So the third round is when you draw your last cards that you can draw. So you want to make sure that you get at least 2 of these lanes. So I didn't manage to win the middle lane. So they got a legendary, I think it was Leviathan card, but I don't think they used it. The way this one works is it's similar to the Space Ranger because they grow with buffs, the Mithril Golem thing. So I'll jump ahead to show you what this board looks like by the time it's finished. You'll see that I don't win every single row, but I just make sure they don't win by a crazy amount of points again. That's all you really need to do here, because you want to keep as many cards in your hand as possible. And luckily enough, we drew the Chimera and Rictus, which are going to win you the next... Well, not the next round, but the 5th round. You need to keep these until round 5. Right, so now we pass, and I got another couple cards in my hand thanks to the Moogle Trio and also placing Cait Sith. He'll get you the Mog card, or the Moogle card. So you've also got an extra 3 cards there, and then since we won the lanes, we'll get an extra 2 cards on top. Which is good, because we're coming into the second to last round, and it gets harder from here. Because you won't get any more cards from here on out, so you don't draw cards at the start. Your opponent does. Or, yeah, they do, but you don't get to draw any cards. So they've got probably the same amount of cards as I do at this point, but they've got more chance to just basically dominate you. So the main goal of this round is basically just to fill up as many spaces on the board using as little cards as possible, because you need to make sure you bring a decent amount of cards into the next round. You're not going to bring in loads because you're only relying on the Shadowblood Queen, Rictus, and the Chimera, but try and fill up this board as quickly as possible and overrun their slots so they can't summon, because basically what will happen at the end of this round, once you've passed and everybody's done all their moves, Shiva will fill up the slots that are left. So if you haven't placed any cards in these slots, for example, Shiva will fill all of these up with icicles. And another element of randomness, they'll all be different numbers. So that's what I mean, this is really different to the Shadowblood Queen fight. You're going to rely on the RNG gods here. So you want to make sure you fill everything up as fast as possible, just so they can not summon anymore. And then just pass, and Shiva will just fill up the lanes for you. So then you've got as many cards as you can take into the next fight. So I'll kind of show you how I do it by the end. And then hopefully you guys will have similar-ish cards that you can work from it. And you can get this round done pretty easily just so you're not wasting all your cards. But like I said, you're just trying your best to quickly overrun their slots so they can't summon. And then just pass, just so you've got enough cards for the next round. And this is the end of the 4th round, so I've basically taken the entire board up and I don't want to waste any cards. They can't place any more cards down, so all I do is just pass, and then Shiva fills up the rest. Just like that. And like I said, these are random, so you might get some 6s, you might get some 2s, you might get some 4s, but gave me enough points that I'm a fair bit ahead here. This is where you start relying on the Shadowblood Queen, Rictus, and the Chimera. So do whatever else you want, but I'm going to show you how to start this. So you've clearly got the 3 in the middle, which you're going to use your Shadowblood Queen to place at the same level as the other Shadowblood Queen. And then this is where some of your points are going to come from, as well as Rictus and Chimera being on the board. Because like, if you guys have watched the previous video about beating the Shadowblood Queen, similar in that video, we used those to basically just overrun how many points the Shadowblood Queen was getting, because the Chimera and Rictus get points depending on what's been debuffed and what's not been debuffed. And we're going to place Rictus right here just so we've got some more spaces on the board, and we can start gaining some points for things that are getting debuffed. The Shadowblood Queen in this version, or the 5th round in this version, they like to use a lot of Bahamut cards. That's the card you win from this, but as you can see, the Bahamut card debuffs a lot of spaces on the board, and that's going to get you a lot of points in the long run. So we make sure we get the Shadowblood Queen, Rictus, and Chimera out as soon as possible, so we can start building points on that. Sometimes she might almost overrun you. She almost does that with me, but I get enough space and points that I can match some of her points in different lanes. So for example, my Chimera just got a huge buff here, so that's overrunning the bottom lane. I don't get the same amount of points for her middle lane, but like I said, as long as you're a little bit ahead by this point, and you're doing similar moves to what I'm doing here, and you've got the Shadowblood Queen, you've got Rictus, and you've got the Chimera, you should hopefully be fine by this point, because there's not really much you can do if they overrun your entire board, because the Bahamut card takes up a lot of slots. But if you've got cards like that, you might be able to overrun a little bit and then get some footholds. But like I said there, Bahamut literally just took over everything I had right there. But there is the My card, I believe, that can get you a little bit more space. But like I said, that is also RNG. You might have got a Chadley card, which wouldn't be any help here whatsoever. So you can do this trick if you want, but as you can see, my top lane has 10 plus 10. So since I'm winning that lane, I'll get 20 from that lane. So we might not even want to remove anything at all here. So just let them play out their hand, because they've only got 3 cards left by this point. So I just kept passing just to see what would happen. And they stopped entirely, so I get 20 points. So I'm a little bit ahead here, and they only get 16 from that, and I've nullified their bottom part of the board. So they're 30 points behind me. That's how you win it. It is a lot of RNG compared to the Shadowblood Queen boss fight, but hopefully this guide has been helpful, guys. If it has, leave a like, share the video. If you haven't done the Shadowblood Queen already, go and check out the video. But yeah, that's it. There's a lot of mini games in this game, but hopefully this one has been helpful for you to get the 7-star hotel trophy. Anyway, good luck with the platinum, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.